Hi, let's do a Cosmere reading order. So I know there's a lot of videos out there that cover this exact same thing. And it seems like they're all a little bit different, and I'm sure mine's going to be different than everybody else's too. I'm just going to show you guys my favorite way to go through the Cosmere books. It all starts with Mistborn. This is Mistborn Era 1, first trilogy, and you're going to be starting with Mistborn. It's the name of the book, it's the name of the series. Pretty self-explanatory. This is going to really be able to get you into the magic system that Brandon Sanderson's able to provide and to build. My favorite magic system of all of the series. So very fun. Has a very heisty feel to it. You're going to see this book a lot in this video. Just a heads up. But you're going to go to Arcanum Unbounded. You're going to find 11th Metal. You're going to read that. It's going to talk about a prequel of one of the characters in here. And then you're also going to read Secret History. It is a post-quill. That's not right. It's after Mistborn, and I actually just read it recently, and it is very important. It made so many light bulbs come on after I have gone through this multiple times and finally read that. Secret History. So then you're going to move on to one of these two books. Tress is a brand new Secret History book that even Brandon Sanderson says you can read first. I personally think it would be better in this area. And then the second book of that is Elantris. This is his very first published book. He says himself it's not his strongest book, so that's why I think After Mistborn would be a great place for this, because you get to see how he writes and how his worlds develop. And then this is just a kind of standalone little book that I personally love. I think is underrated, but that way you're not kind of a little clunky. I'll be honest, it is a little clunky, and that way you're not turned off to Sanderson's writing style. You guys remember this book? You're going to go back to this after you read Elantris. You're going to read two books. You're going to read The Hope of Elantris, and then you're also going to read Emperor's Soul. Hope of Elantris is actually during the book of Elantris, and then you're just at a different perspective of it. Very short story dedicated to one of his very first reviews. It's super cute. And then also Emperor's Soul, which is on the world Elantris is on, but not tied directly to it. And then we have Warbreaker. I think Warbreaker is the absolute most important read that you read before Stormlight. And the reason why is for quite some time, this one has the biggest ties to the Stormlight archive itself. So Warbreaker. And we're also supposed to get a Warbreaker Part 2 soonish, I think. And then we get to the meat, The Way of Kings. This is the most glorious, beautifully written, amazingly illustrated, mind-capturing prologue book you'll ever read. This is a build-up. 99% of this book is world building, explaining what's going on, explaining what everything looks like. It's character building, showing all of the main characters that you're going to be hanging out with for quite a few books, and their backstories and all sorts of stuff. This is something where you get introduced to the magic system, and it builds it up so that you can actually understand it throughout the entirety of the books. It's amazing, but it is a prologue book. A lot of you epic fantasy guys out there are going to love this, and a lot of you guys are not. And that's okay. Just push through it, I promise. Because right after that, we have Words of Radiance. This used to be my all-time favorite Brandon Sanderson book, Stormlight book, everything. It actually has my favorite quote in it. Not the one that's on my wrist, that's on this book. But this book is where you start seeing the powers start to shine. You start seeing the development coming together, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the understanding between characters. This is it. Back to this. Now you're going to go back to this. You're going to read Edge Dancer. Edge Dancer follows a character that you were introduced to in the Stormlight Archive who becomes not really a big part of it, but a decent sized part of it. And this is going to be the backstory of that character. So do not miss Edge Dancer. And personally, this is my thoughts. You can do it other places. Mistborn Era 2 should be right here, right in the middle of the guts. Or even if you wanted to do a couple of them and then split them up later. I really hope you guys could hear that. But you can do a couple of them. You can split them up as you go, whatever you like. But I think right here is the perfect place for it. This is Mistborn, Far in the Future. The first one we had Sticks and Stones. This one we have Firearms. So this is fantastic. I love this series. And guys, I think that we go back to this. Allomancer Jack. Very short, quick read. Very fun. And it just kind of explains a little bit that connects between Mistborn Era 1 to Mistborn Era 2-ish. But it's just a fun little read. So, in this book. And then you get to what used to be the chunkiest of chunker books in the Stormlight Archives, Oathbringer. This is worlds colliding good. So, book 3 of the Stormlight Archives. And then you're going to go to this little guy. This is the only necessity read for the short stories that is not in Arcanum Unbounded as of right now, as far as I know. So this is just going to kind of tie a little bit of the world together for you, kind of understand what is on Roshar and a little bit of the importance. And you're going to follow a bunch of the characters that you followed in the Stormlight Archives themselves. Short, fun, fast. And then you are to Rhythm of War. This book could have almost wrapped up the series. It was that good. I really enjoyed it. Still wasn't my favorite, but it was really good. So this is book 4 of the Stormlight Archives. So this is where Brandon Sanderson and I kind of disagree. He wrote this intending it to be read before Wind and Truth, and it's not bad before Wind and Truth, but I don't think I would have been as lost for a lot of it because I was trying to remember and catch up on stuff in this book from a book that wasn't even out yet. So I personally think that after Wind and Truth would be better for this. But this is a great place to put in Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. This book is just a fun, exciting, and makes you want to eat a whole lot of ramen standalone book. And right here would be a good spot to kind of get a breather between Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth. And then this guy. This is obviously my very favorite Cosmere book now, Brandon Sanderson book. Oh, I love it so much. This is the end of Stormlight Arc 1. This is the end of this era of it. We won't see it again for 6 to 8 years real time, and it's supposed to take up about 10 years in the future after this for the next arc of the Stormlights. So this is your ending note of the Cosmere-ish. You guys remember this book? I bet you have by now. So this still does have a few short stories in it. And you can do these anywhere in your journey you want. If you need to just take a breather and you just need a day to do a really short, quick read, whatever the case, you can come to this book. The final 3 in here that you haven't read yet because of the other part of the list is going to be White Sand, Shadows for the Silence in the Forest of Hell, and Sixth of the Dusk. Sixth of the Dusk. And as of that part, I'm pretty sure we're completely caught up on the Cosmere. So if you made it this far, and if you're just entering your journey into the Cosmere or thinking about getting into it, just remember that this book is possibly the most important key to one of the best journeys you'll ever be on. All right. Love you. Bye.